Breaking news from outer space, truth and fiction, same embrace. Lance and Gina lead the way, decoding myths from day to day.
Okay, so get ready for this one.
Oh, yeah.
We're diving deep into this article today.
Like?
It's called The Rise of the MDMA Jellyfish, a sci-fi allegory for humanity's future. And it's about these giant jellyfish that, get this, release a psychoactive gas into the atmosphere.
Wow.
Yeah, seriously.
Sounds pretty wild.
Like something out of a movie,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
But
Yeah.
the article really digs into some serious questions about these jellyfish.
Right.
Which are, by the way, scientifically known as Euphoria megaloactica, and how they could, like, really impact humanity.
Yeah, I mean, the implications are huge.
So, okay, first off, how do these things even work?
Well, that's the thing, right?
They're absorbing oxygen, right?
Right.
But then they're somehow converting it to, like, something like MDMA? Is that even possible?
It's definitely pushing the boundaries of what we know about biology, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But the article suggests that they might have evolved this, symbiotic relationship with certain bacteria that actually do the chemical conversion.
Interesting.
And there are examples of this kind of complex symbiosis in nature, so it's not totally out there.
That's wild. I mean, nature is so much more intricate than we give it credit for.
For sure.
Okay, so let's just say, hypothetically, this is real, and we've got this psychoactive compound just floating around in the air.
Right.
What's that going to do to us? I mean, really?
Well, think about what MDMA is known for.
Okay.
Feelings of euphoria, empathy, reduced aggression.
Yeah.
The article suggests that prolonged exposure to this compound, could lead to some pretty big societal shifts.
Like everyone's just walking around hugging each other and writing poetry.
Well, that might be a bit of a simplification. But yeah, the basic idea is that a world with less aggression could mean a world with less conflict.
Okay.
The article talks about things like crime rates plummeting.
Wow.
Wars becoming unthinkable. It paints a pretty utopian picture.
Yeah, but there's got to be a downside, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, what happens to ambition? To the drive to, improve things if everyone's just content all the time?
You're hitting on a key point for sure.
Okay.
The article acknowledges that, there's a potential for complacency. It questions whether a world without conflict would also be a world without progress.
Right.
Like, if we're all blissed out,
Yeah.
do we lose that edge, that push to innovate?
To strive for something better.
Exactly.
And then there's the whole question of free will, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, is it really utopia if our feelings are being manipulated?
It's a huge ethical question.
Right.
Even if they're positive feelings,
Yeah, totally.
The article really digs into that, too.
Okay.
It makes you wonder if genuine progress can ever really come from, an artificial source, or if it has to come from individual choice and effort.
Right. Okay, so we've got happy people.
Right.
Maybe a little too happy.
Potentially.
But maybe at the cost of progress and free will.
Yeah.
And then there's this whole other layer about the deep state.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yeah, the article uses that term to describe the existing power structures.
Okay.
Governments, corporations, influential groups.
The ones who benefit from the way things are now.
Exactly.
Gosh.
And they obviously have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo.
Sure.
And these jellyfish, with their potential to completely turn the social order upside down,
Yeah.
they represent a major threat to their control.
Because a world full of, empathetic, peace-loving people isn't exactly easy to manipulate.
Precisely.
Right.
The article argues that the deep state thrives on fear, division, the need for security, a world where those things are diminished significantly.
Yeah.
It just throws their entire playbook out the window.
So how do they respond?
Well, according to the article,
Their first instinct is to try and get rid of them.
Really? So
Yeah.
they just want to wipe them all out.
Pretty much.
That seems a little extreme.
It does, doesn't it?
I mean, even for the deep state.
I know, but the article suggests that they see it as a necessary evil,
I guess.
They're all about control,
Wow.
self-preservation.
Yeah.
So they see these jellyfish as this direct threat to their power,
Okay.
and they're willing to do whatever it takes.
So what are we talking about here? Like,
Right.
are they sending out teams of jellyfish assassins?
Not exactly.
Okay.
The article mentions these things called railguns.
Railguns.
Yeah, they're these incredibly powerful weapons
Oh, wow.
that can basically vaporize the jellyfish
Vaporized.
from a distance.
Seriously.
Yeah, and they're also supposedly using propaganda,
Oh, of course.
spreading all this misinformation about the jellyfish,
Like what?
portraying them as dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
unpredictable,
Right.
a threat to humanity. So classic, right?
Totally.
They're playing the fear card,
Exactly.
trying to turn public opinion against the jellyfish.
Yep. If they can convince people that the jellyfish are the enemy,
Yeah.
then they can justify taking these extreme measures to get rid of them.
And people will just go along with it.
That's the idea.
This is starting to feel like a conspiracy thriller or something.
I know, right?
Are they really that powerful?
It's a scary thought.
Can they really control the narrative like that?
Well, the article argues that the deep state has a long history of manipulating information,
Right.
controlling public perception.
Okay.
They definitely have the resources,
Yeah.
the influence, and the motivation to shape the narrative to fit their agenda.
So what does that mean for the rest of us?
Well,
Are we just pawns in their game?
it's not that simple.
Okay.
The article doesn't paint humanity as completely helpless.
Okay, good. Yeah.
It emphasizes the importance of critical thinking,
Right.
questioning the information we're given, looking beyond the surface,
Hmm.
seeking out multiple perspectives.
But that's easier said than done. Right.
For sure.
Especially when you have these powerful forces
Right.
actively trying to control what we see and hear.
Absolutely. It's a challenge, no doubt.
Yeah.
But the article seems to suggest that recognizing the problem is the first step towards finding a solution.
Okay.
It calls for greater transparency,
Hmm.
independent research,
Yeah.
open dialogue about the potential benefits and risks of this whole phenomenon.
It feels like we're at a crossroads here,
It does, doesn't it?
On the one hand, we have this potential for a more peaceful world,
Right.
a more empathetic world.
Right.
On the other hand, we have these powerful forces
Mm.
trying to control the narrative, potentially for their own benefit.
It's a tough situation.
So where do we go from here?
That's the big question.
What are our options?
Well, the article lays out 3 potential scenarios,
Okay,
each with its own set of challenges and opportunities.
let's hear it.
The first scenario is what they call utopian integration.
Utopian integration.
It's the most optimistic one.
Okay.
It imagines humanity learning to coexist with the jellyfish, embracing the positive changes they bring,
Right.
while also finding ways to deal with the negative ecological impacts.
So we adapt, we find a balance,
Exactly.
we create a new kind of world together.
Yeah,
That sounds pretty ideal.
it does, but it's not without its challenges.
Of course not.
The article acknowledges that there could still be conflict.
Even in a world with reduced aggression?
Even then,
How so?
well, think about it.
Okay.
Resources,
Yeah.
territory,
Right.
ideology, these things can still drive people apart,
That's a good point.
even if they're feeling more empathetic towards each other.
Even in a utopia, human nature doesn't just disappear.
Exactly.
Okay, so what's the next scenario?
The next one is cataclysmic conflict.
Cataclysmic conflict.
This is the darkest timeline.
Oh, no.
The one where the deep state succeeds in wiping out the jellyfish.
Wow.
They paint a pretty grim picture.
Like what?
Ecological devastation,
Ugh.
global instability, widespread mistrust and paranoia.
So it's like we destroy the very thing that could have saved us
Essentially.
because we're too afraid to let go of control.
Yeah, it's a pretty sobering thought.
Okay, so we've got utopian integration or cataclysmic conflict.
Right.
Those seem like pretty extreme outcomes.
They do.
Is there anything in between?
There is. The third scenario is called scientific breakthrough.
Scientific breakthrough. Okay.
This one imagines scientists figuring out how to synthesize the compound the jellyfish produce,
Okay.
but doing it in a controlled and sustainable way.
So we get the benefits without the ecological risks
Right.
or the ethical dilemma of wiping out an entire species.
Exactly.
That sounds promising.
It does, but it also comes with its own set of complexities.
Like what?
Well, who controls the production and distribution of this compound?
Right.
How do we prevent abuse?
Yeah.
Can we really create a truly just and equitable society if happiness is something that can be manufactured and controlled?
It's like each potential solution just leads to another set of questions.
It does, doesn't it?
But I guess that's how progress works, right?
I think so.
Every step forward brings new challenges, new unknowns.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes this whole MDMA jellyfish thing so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's not just a thought experiment. It's a reflection of our own anxieties and aspirations.
Totally.
It forces us to confront our relationship with technology, our capacity for both cooperation and conflict,
Right.
and ultimately what kind of future we want to create.
It's a lot to process.
It is.
But I think this deep dive has been incredibly insightful.
I agree.
We've gone from giant drug-producing jellyfish to utopian societies to shadowy government conspiracies.
Yeah, it's quite a journey.
And somehow it all feels incredibly relevant to the world we live in right now.
I think that's a testament to the power of good storytelling, using a fantastical premise to explore very real human dilemmas.
Yeah, it really does feel like it's holding up a mirror, to some of humanity's biggest challenges.
Right.
And also opportunities.
Yeah.
We talked about those 3 scenarios: utopian integration, cataclysmic conflict,
Right.
and scientific breakthrough. And they all have their own, complexities.
Absolutely.
If you had to pick one,
Okay.
which scenario kind of resonates with you the most?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I think I'm drawn to the scientific breakthrough scenario.
Okay.
The idea of harnessing the jellyfish's power for good,
Right.
But also finding ways to protect them.
Yeah.
It just feels like the most balanced approach to me.
Yeah, I can see that.
It acknowledges the potential benefits, but it also recognizes the need for careful consideration
Right.
and responsible application.
It does feel like the most responsible approach.
Yeah.
But it's also the one with the most unknowns, right?
Oh, for sure.
How do we even control something this powerful?
That's the question.
What if it falls into the wrong hands?
Well, those are definitely valid concerns.
Yeah,
But I think that's the nature of any scientific advancement, really.
I guess so.
There's always a potential for misuse. It's up to us to,
Yeah.
establish safeguards, ethical guidelines, international cooperation to ensure responsible use.
We really need to learn from our past mistakes
We do.
and approach this, new technology with a sense of caution and humility.
Absolutely.
It's almost like this whole MDMA jellyfish situation is a test,
Interesting.
like a test for humanity. Like the universe is saying, okay, here's something that could change everything.
Right.
What are you going to do with it?
I like that analogy. It really highlights how much agency we have in shaping our future. We're not just passive observers here.
Right.
We have choices to make,
We do,
and those choices will have consequences.
for sure.
It's a reminder that we need to be thoughtful, deliberate, and proactive
Right.
in how we approach these kinds of challenges.
This whole deep dive has been a whirlwind.
It has.
Giant drug-producing jellyfish to utopian societies, to shadowy government conspiracies.
It's a lot.
It's mind-blowing to think that this all came from one article.
I know, it's amazing, right?
Yeah,
And yet it all feels so relevant, you know,
it does.
to the world we're living in right now. The struggle between control and liberation,
Yeah.
the potential of science to help us but also to harm us, the importance of critical thinking, especially now,
Right.
when we're bombarded with so much information.
It's a lot to sift through.
It is.
I think that's what makes this article so powerful.
Yeah, I agree.
It takes this fantastical premise, right? And it uses it to explore these very real
Human dilemmas.
human dilemmas. Exactly.
Right. It's a reminder that even when we're faced with the seemingly impossible,
Yeah.
we still have the power to choose our path.
And that choice is what defines us.
It really is.
So what does all of this mean for you, listener?
Good question.
What kind of future do you envision? If you were faced with these choices, how would you navigate this strange new world?
That's something to think about.
It is. It really is.
It is.
That's something to ponder as you go about your day.
For sure.
And remember, keep looking up,
Yes,
because the future is full of surprises.
it is.
Some terrifying, some exhilarating,
Right.
and some that might just change everything.
It's a wild world out there.
It is.
Stay curious, stay engaged, and stay informed.
Yes.
Because the more we understand about the possibilities, the better equipped we'll be to shape the future we want.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive
Looking forward to it.
into the most fascinating corners of knowledge.
Absolutely.
Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning,
Yes.
and keep those minds open.
Keep them open.
Breaking news from outer space, truth and fiction, same embrace. Lance and Gina lead the way, decoding myths from day to day. Skynet News. news, bold and bright. It's a cutting edge, but not quite right. Dark science meets conspiracy, like bridging gaps with mystery. Aliens lurking, planets align. False truths wrapped in cosmic signs. Astrophysics, UFOs, we decode what no one knows. Dark Skynet news, bold and bright. People cutting edge, but not quite right. Dark science meets conspiracy, like bridging gaps with mystery. AG from the cosmos to your screen. Every theory so unseen.